Breaking the Silence is a podcast that dives into the intricate and often challenging topics of grief and loss within relationships. Through insightful discussions, the podcast aims to explore how pain can be transformed into purpose, leading to healing and growth. By addressing themes such as inner child work and the journey towards feeling alive once more, this podcast offers a beacon of hope for those navigating difficult emotions. Ultimately, Breaking the Silence aims to guide listeners towards moving forward and embracing all the blessings that life has in store as they embark on a journey of self-discovery and spiritual fulfillment. I'm your guide through this journey, Renee Wallace, and I invite you to join me as we break the silence surrounding grief and loss, transforming pain into purpose and finding hope in the healing power of storytelling. Welcome to Breaking the Silence. I am Renee.
And I'm Kelly with an I. Before we dive into all this conversation we're planning together, I thought it would be beautiful to give our new listeners and even our longtime ones a chance to get to know Renee a little more. I mean, this podcast was birthed from her heart and her healing journey. And now that I'm here beside her, I want to help share that with you.
All right.
So, Renee, I have some questions for you this episode.
Great.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So I guess I'm gonna, some of these questions, let's see here. Let's just, I guess, start with this one. It just says, why did you call the podcast Breaking the Silence? And what silence are you trying to break?
I think that was birthed out of feeling like pretty much my whole life, I didn't really feel like I had a voice. So for a lot of years, I didn't feel like I had a voice and was busy trying to please other people. And so that was birthed out of just wanting to use my voice to make a difference, to make an impact, to show other women that their voice matters and that people need to hear their story and what they've experienced. And so that's where it came from.
Very good.
Did I pass the test?
You passed the test. And I think that's really important because to have a voice, because I think a lot of times people don't even realize that they don't, because we talk all the time, right? Talk to our friends, family, and stuff like that, and not even realize that you're really not being heard.
Right.
So,
oh my goodness. And you just saying that, like, just off that real quick. Yeah, I think that I won't trail off onto attachment styles and stuff, but yeah, it's very important. Like maybe our whole life we felt like we weren't heard,
yeah.
And that this is an opportunity. It was an opportunity for me to say, no, I do have a voice, and for people to hear it. So anyways, sorry to interrupt.
I mean, if you don't want to talk about the attachment stuff, but even for me, like, I know I didn't do my homework. You wanted me to around. I know. But I didn't do that. But I think that that's really important. So even if you do, because, just like people always say, like, your love language is important to know what your love language is. And honestly, I honestly don't think I know what mine is. I feel like even if I did a questionnaire, I don't know that I would know what it is.
For your love languages, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Super important. Yeah. So that and your attachment style, I think those are so huge, because same thing with love languages. Then you see how your partner, because typically whatever your love language is, you're going to do that for other people because you're like, well, I feel loved that way. But if they don't receive love that way, so then when you know what their love language is, you can be like, oh, okay, so I assume they love gifts because I love gifts.
Right.
But maybe really what they love is
acts of service or just quality time, you know?
Right.
And so then you're like, oh, well, they love to be connected, not gifts. So I'm just going to spend time with them. We're going to hang out and watch a movie or go to the store together or whatever, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And that is important, I guess, because yeah, if you keep giving gifts and you're not feeling like that's not even reciprocated, it's not appreciated, then you feel kind of empty because you're like, I don't understand. I'm giving these gifts and putting so much thought and effort into them, and so yeah, if they're like, I'm not into gifts, I'd rather spend time with you than money or anything that you've put into that. So
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So okay, let's see here. Okay, and I think this is really important too, because you and I have had this conversation because I do see you being very successful. Again, I think whatever you put your mind to, I wish I had that much gumption as you do because I always want that. I always want that thing, but I never really even know how to go about doing it. So my question to you is, what would you say to the mom listening right now, I guess, or dad, or anybody who would want this, who feels financially stuck or afraid to start something new?
Mm. I think well, I know what I would say. I would say, first of all, I get it. Like, I get the whole fear of that. And um, I understand that. But the thing is, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Hmm.
And I think we talked about this even a couple weeks ago on the podcast where we can stay stuck in fear for a really long time. You know, the fear of taking that step. Even when I started the newest thing, you know, digital marketing, like there was very much that, like, um, really? Like, could I do
Hmm.
this, you know?
Yeah.
And I was just like, and especially when you're anything where you're investing in yourself, there's that fear of like, oh my gosh, you know? Um, but I say, do the thing, like do it scared, jump in. Um, Fear will hold us back forever, you know? And that was even for me, like, I checked it all out and I watched for like a couple weeks and I was just like, one person I was following, she said her only regret was that she was following someone to watch them for like a year be
Hmm.
successful in it. And she said that was her only regret. And as I watched her, I thought, I am not going to sit here and watch for a year, you
Right.
know, like I'm just going to jump in and do it. And
Mhm.
so I did. And you just jump in and do it scared
Right.
because we can spend a whole lot of time being stuck and yeah, nothing changes if nothing changes. So
Right. Okay. I feel like you're on your Miss America pageant.
yes. Should I do a pose now?
All right, let's see here. What's one small thing that always brings you joy, even on hard days?
Hmm. I would say, well, okay, I cannot sing for nothing. I do not have a good voice, so please don't take it that I do. But probably singing, like, because
Mhm.
that in itself just helps to regulate your nervous system anyways, and it's just
Mhm.
fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like I'm always singing to songs in my car, anywhere,
Mhm.
and embarrassing my kids, even getting into motions and everything. Um, but yeah, that or I would say walking, but probably walking is also very good for like my nervous system and calming me and just, but I would definitely say singing.
Yeah. So that's not you really singing on those videos that we see you in.
Oh my gosh. When somebody comments like, wow, you have a really good voice.
Do they really?
So I'm not often. Most times people know. But I have had people say that and I'm like, no, totally not me.
You're singing a guy's song with a real dude voice.
Wow.
Quite the range.
I can hit them all.
Oh, okay. On to the next question. Um, All right. So this is reference your story and healing journey.
Okay.
And I think this is kind of important because we've had some deaths in our family recently. And so I'll give you the question, but because I think this does happen, it just says, what's something you wish more people understood about grief, especially long after the casseroles stop coming?
Mm, that's a good one because everybody feels like they're there in the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like there's just this huge outpouring. And then I would say it is not linear. Like there are the highs and lows of it. One day you're doing great and you're like, okay, I'm making it through this. And then you have a really hard day. And it might be something that you never even seen coming. Like I remember when Bryant died, like even um like just well any period, like with any of the deaths, like something random would just even strike me and I'm like, what is going on that I'm like so emotional all of a sudden and just like a mess, or I just feel completely off today.
Yeah.
And then I could look at the calendar and be like, oh my gosh, that's exactly why. And I would also say, and you and I talked about this before too, it feels so dark when you walk through a major loss, death, whatever, even if it's a divorce, whatever it is, it won't feel that way forever. And I would also say you will never forget, but there really is beauty on the other side of it. Like there really, truly is laughter and joy and all of it,
Mm-hmm.
and you can still remember, like Bryant's birthday is Friday and he would have been 10 years old. And of course, there's that part of me that is like,
Mm-hmm.
what I wouldn't give to see what my
Mm-hmm.
boy would look like right now at 10 years old.
Yeah.
And yet I can have so much joy in my life right now, like so, so happy right now. So it can be both. It can
Yeah.
be, and that's what I should say. It
Yeah.
can be like Christmas or anything. Like there's the reality of like, or even like with Brian's birthday on Friday, like I'm saying, like there can be like, yes, I very much know there's a piece of my heart missing
Yeah.
that I won't have that again until heaven. And I can still experience joy and laughter and all the beauty now. Like my life is just not like over.
Right.
So
I can't believe you would be 10.
I
That's
know.
that's crazy.
I know.
Wow.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was kind of an emotional question just because I think um like I know how dark that time was for you and rightfully so. And I just remember like I'm just getting emotional because I guess just knowing who our God is and who you are. Um, I didn't think I lost you, but I guess I knew it was gonna be a hard road to come back from. Um, and then just to see where you are now, it's just so wonderful because it's almost just like how God takes all that way, all the pain away, even like childbirth, you know what I mean? Like you have it and then you don't even remember it. So even though I'm emotional about talking about that, like I can remember you like that, but because I see you joyful and all that you are now. I guess um I don't know how I'm trying to say that. I guess I remember that, but it's not so vivid because I see you now who you are, like that person that you were before, or actually even I don't want to say I guess maybe even a better version of yourself because I think you've just grown in so many things.
Mm. Well, I
So,
think it just points to the fact that God will always bring beauty from ashes.
yeah,
If
yeah,
And yeah, like you said, like there is that part where it's so dark and you're like, can I ever come back from this?
Yeah.
You know, like you feel like you're just dead inside, to be quite honest. Like,
Yeah.
no, and knowing that you have to figure out how, because I had kids here I love, you know,
Hmm.
and they deserve to have a mom that was there and present and like, anyways. But yeah,
Right.
it just points to God and
Right.
what he can do within us. I just can't even imagine, to be quite honest, anybody walking through the loss of a child or
Mhm.
a significant major loss without God, because I really don't know how I would get through it. Like he literally carried me through it and
Mhm.
created beauty from ashes on the other side.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Okay, let's do a light question.
okay.
um, let's see here.
Mm.
Let me see here. This is a good one, I think. What role does prayer play in your everyday life now?
Mm. It's huge. Like, I mean, again, I just said, like, I can't even imagine walking through what I've walked through without God.
Mhm.
Um, I really don't know how people make it through. Um, like he's my everything. And um, yeah, I spend time with him every day. That's a huge part of who I am, and worshiping him and wanting to honor him. And actually, just in church on Sunday, they talked about like when people look at you, like what do they see? And I really thought, and I was going to ask like some of the closest people to me, like, what do you see? Like, do
Mhm.
you see Jesus all over me? Because like if people don't, like I'm missing the mark then, because
Right.
I don't care about like leaving a legacy as Renee Wallace. I care about like, does my life point to Jesus? When people see me, do they see something different, that they want to know Jesus, that they want to have that in their life?
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a huge part of my life, my faith and prayer, all of it.
Yeah. Well, I know even my grandmas would say, they would tell me all the time, honey, I prayed for you today. I prayed for the kids. And I'd always be like, probably prior to my second divorce. And I would, I mean, I know it's nice to pray for people. It just didn't resonate with me really. I'd be like, okay, thanks for the prayers. But as I've have a stronger relationship with Jesus. And I do know that that is one of the greatest forms of love you can do. And
Mhm.
especially as our kids get older and they're not here, like we can't be with them all the time. And I just have to be like, Lord, I just trust that you will watch over them. I pray for them every day. I'm always like, Lord, just please watch over them and bless them, mind, body, and spirit, keep them safe. And because we can't be with them, and just that God will guide them and keep them safe. So I
And
think go ahead.
no, finishing.
No, I love that prayer is one of the greatest forms of love you can do for somebody.
And that's, I was just going to piggyback on that. And exactly that. You're absolutely right. It truly is like to pray for somebody and to stand in the gap for them every day. And maybe they're not believers, you know, I don't know, you know, and to say, I'm committed to praying for these people
Mm.
no matter what. Every day I will cover them. And okay, maybe not every single day, maybe, something,
Right.
but some there are that I pray like every single day for, that,
Yeah.
cover my family in prayer and stuff. And it really truly is like such a beautiful form of love to say, I will stand in the gap for you no matter what and pray on your behalf when you don't even, maybe people don't even know what they need to be praying for, or, and you're
Yeah.
willing to do that for them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And even more so, just to give him glory, because there's so many times that I'm just like, just so grateful that things that he has had come to pass, or, made something come come to pass for somebody else, and you're just like, Lord, thank you so much, because yeah, I didn't know how it was going to happen. I didn't know what the result was going to be. You want it to be the best or whatever, but just always give him the glory, to thank him for, I mean, even when my family makes it home safe, or safe travels, or just, Lord, thank you, because we just know in this world, of uncertainty and just all that's going on, just know that your family is safe. And yeah, so I always give him glory too.
And just real quick to add on to that, what I would suggest for anybody that maybe they're new to praying or whatever, I mean, of course, the first step is even just praying, but like I would highly encourage like keeping a journal and writing it down, because that is such a beautiful way, because sometimes we are really good at remembering like all the bad things that happen, the negative things like, oh my gosh, I had a really bad day at work or this or that, or the other, and all the bad. But when we can go back in our journal and look at our prayers and see the answered prayers, like, or we remember like, oh, I didn't get that. Like my child died or whatever, I mean, that was sort of a major one to use as a comparison, but
Right.
just to open up my journal and look and see how God has moved in the things that I was praying about, that it's so easy to forget.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see it and you're like, oh my gosh. And that's when we can really praise him, because he is a good God and he does hear our prayers and he does answer our prayers. And there's things that I'm still praying about that I tell him, I know you're going to do it, God. I know you are. I don't know when and I don't know how, but I know you are. And he shows me that he is moving,
Right.
So, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the more that we live, I have seen too, just like when God says no or not now,
Mhm.
I have seen things play out, because, especially things that don't happen for our kids. You're just so disappointed for them and stuff, and it's always been hard for me to think of as God as like our heavenly Father, and or like why we were even born, why were we even created, why are we even here, and then until I had my son, and I'm like, it was just like such an epiphany for me, because I'm like, he loves us so much that he wanted this life for us. That's why I had that's why I wanted a baby. I just wanted just that joy and all that. And we know that there's trials and tribulations with that, and there's pain that comes with being a parent and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But anyway, so it was just like, oh, now I get it. But to talk about, even when our kids get disappointed or something doesn't come to pass, and even within that, I have been disappointed for them. And you try to, speak life into them, encourage, and be like, well, it just wasn't meant to be, and you hate to, I know people don't want to hear that, because you're like, if it's something you really wanted, but I have seen time and time again where that thing that we thought was so good for them wasn't. And something better came along, and I would just be like, Lord, thank you so much, because you did know. Exactly. We made it through that, and because you had something better on the other end. And it's just like, I mean, I can think of so many things in my head that I'm like, Lord, thank you. Like, I mean, really, like, thank you so much, because it's like, wow, I couldn't have orchestrated it. I couldn't have done that. You know what I mean? Like, we think in our own human form, we could orchestrate it better, or we know best, or whatever. And it's like, it just turned out by the better that I would have thought. It was better situation and everything. So, yeah. So, okay, next question.
Next.
Okay, let me see here. All right. Let's do some just for fun.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see here. This, I don't know why. I have to tell this story.
I'm scared already. I'm like, why do I feel like I want to throw up right now? I don't know what's coming.
Because you are so funny, and we have so much fun together. And I still remember this when we would always go out dancing. That was back in like the 90s. So we'd always have like our mini skirts and our blazers, and our little, like, I don't know what they called it, just like our slides, or like, what were those even called?
I don't even
Like,
know.
Like not like the ballet shoes, but where were like just our slip-ons.
Yeah. I don't know what they were called.
And we would like dress up to go out or whatever. And I still remember, I don't remember the name of the club. It was over on Sullivan. And we're out there dancing on the dance floor.
Rainbow? Or no, Rainbows? Is that what it was?
Maybe. I don't remember.
It had a few names, but I think it was Rainbows at one point. I think.
Maybe, because then I think they split it. It was like a country bar, and then it was like both or whatever. And we were out there dancing on the dance floor, and you kicked your shoe off. Do you remember that? You were trying to get it back, and everybody's dancing, so it's like kicking around the dance floor. I don't know. I just think that's so funny because I see you just like trying to like grab your shoe back. And
I just block out these things for a reason, Kelli.
but they're so funny. Oh gosh. So anyway, okay. So my question was, what's something about you most people wouldn't expect?
Hmm. I would say I used to always think I was such an extrovert.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I mean, like I always said I was a homebody, right? Like I'm totally good with being home. In the hence the reason you bought me a sweatshirt that says homebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I started thinking about it more, and I think it's more that I mean, I do love being home, but I think I'm an introvert.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I realize that more and more. Like I'm an introverted. What is it? An introverted. An introvert extrovert. What is that? I can't even think of how you say it. But like, so very much, I love to be like to myself and at home and the whole homebody thing. But I totally can be the extrovert when needed. Like if I'm out somewhere, yes, I absolutely can talk to people and make conversation and all the things. But my comfort is for sure like just home, like sort of to myself, like even small, like just friends. Like I think that's why I would much rather like it be like one-on-one than like large groups of people. And I never realized that until I was older, like that, like maybe that's why I would much rather it be like one-on-one, us getting coffee or one-on-one with someone and not like big groups. I can do that. I mean, I can do it, but anyways, I guess I would say like, yeah, that I'm an introvert, I think.
Mm-hmm. And maybe that's too because I don't know, like I just thought of Michael and then just how so intentional she was. And you knew her much, much better than I did, but just, just things people have said about her. But I think you are too. I think you're like intentional like that. So maybe you like that, just that one-on-one, you know, and then I think a lot of people, how do I say that? You always think like you need a large group of friends, you have lots of friends, and then they just say like if you have that smaller circle. And I think the older we get, we realize that your circle doesn't have to be big. It's the people that really mean the most to you. And I saw this thing the other day and it said, have you ever noticed that most people that have hurt you are not strangers, the closest to you? And I was like,
for sure.
Wow, yeah. Or at least those are the ones who have, I mean, because you can't be like, I mean, a stranger can be rude to you or whatever, but I guess it's because it's somebody who did mean so much to you that really had the most impact. So yeah, I guess just as we get older, or I know people who really just hang out with their family. And I would be okay with that because I love my family, my sisters and stuff like that. Although I need you. But I have you from high school. I have a few really close friends. And I think that's really all I need. But anyway, I guess I was to say that like you don't really need this big circle. Sometimes you just need that small circle because it's more personable. It's, and than to have like a lot of superficial relationships, I guess.
Right. Absolutely. I tell my kids that all the time. Like I would rather have a few really true friends than a huge circle of people that are fake or inauthentic or,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
and that doesn't mean our circle has to be super small because I did find like as the people I loved were dying, like Michael and others, like I was like, I feel like my circle just keeps getting smaller.
Right.
Um, but I was gonna say about being authentic or not authentic, intentional, like you said with Michael. I
Mhm.
think death teaches you that.
Mhm.
I was thinking about that the other day. Like, I feel like I'm way more intentional with my words and what I say than I ever was my entire life. Like, so much of me has evolved and changed because of grief and loss. And
Mhm.
so, again, that comes back to beauty from ashes. Like, God really has transformed me in so many ways
Yeah.
because of what I've walked through. And I'm super intentional of telling people how I feel about them and making sure they know. And, I can't say that I always did that really well, but now I know how short life is. And I don't ever want anybody to question, like, how do they feel? Or me like regret, like, man, I really wish I would have told them that?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah, definitely. And then, I even think about too, and I actually did this about a week ago. It was a really good opportunity for me to do something and I didn't do it. And I think too, like not missing out on opportunities
mm-hmm.
because I feel like I regret those more than I ever did, and it just, I feel like it was just like kept like tapping at me, like, you should go, you should go, you should do it. And that other part of me just like, was louder, I guess. But then I do every once in a while think about it, I'm just like, it just kind of makes me shudder in a way. Just because I'm like, I probably should have gone. So I think that's too, just don't miss out on opportunities because you're right, life is short. And yeah,
Yeah, but we are also going to miss the mark sometimes. Don't get me wrong. Like, I definitely
right.
miss the marks. And so if we miss the mark and like, oh man, I really should have went to that,
Yeah,
like not hanging on to it too with like shaming ourselves or
right.
whatever. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I messed up. I messed up with my kids. I messed up with this. I messed up with the opportunity to say whatever.
Right.
Okay. We're human too. We make mistakes.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Okay. So to kind of wrap up this podcast, I have one final question for you. If someone really knew you, they'd know that you love what?
ah, um,
Pina coladas.
oh my gosh. Yes.
See, I know you.
Pina coladas and ice cream. You want to know how to get to my heart? Okay, so if that's on the like simple level, but more importantly, I would say anybody that really knows me knows that my family is everything to me. Like, um, that is the reason that I do everything I do. Um, and yeah, they're my world. That's my purpose of everything. And even in all that I walk through, um, looking at them and knowing like, you got to figure this out. Like, first, like walking through Bryant, like, you got kids here that need you? And so knowing like I had to find my way back from that for them. And then when Dave passed, the reality of looking at these kids and thinking, I got to figure this out. Like, I've got 7 kids, 4 kids still at home to finish raising that need me to finish raising them and help them walk through grief. And how do we walk this road? But also, in total, 7 kids of like, I have my adult kids that are looking to their mom and saying, how do we do this? And so, yeah, they're my reason for everything. They're why I do what I do. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's, they're
And I
my
hope, I mean, all of your kids are really amazing. I even think of your, just your older boys and stuff because, like, well, I have a son and I have my stepchildren that I love too, but just that connection that I have with my son, I think, and I hope I don't get flack for this just because I have a son. Boys are so near and dear to my heart. I think they always have been. I'm not sure why. Um, And I think that you and I have talked about this personally, a little bit off track is, I don't know if it's because I've always been so hard on myself. I think I'm always so hard on girls too. Like, I think they should be strong, as we're, typically in society, men are supposed to be strong. And I think I always just have such a weakness for them, like I don't know how to articulate myself right now, but anyway, I know your boys have really, I think, stepped up that role, that they really take care of you, and I think they do honor you, and you've all been through so much, and you have all just been so resilient. And I'm sure they get a lot of that from you and Dave, but I hope one day that they all really see who you are and what you've been through, and that you did, by the grace of God and his, everything, that your belief in him, that they just see how strong you are, because like you say, they're everything to you, and they are where they are because of you, so I mean, always giving glory to God first, and I know but you are faithful, and you listen, and you do all that, and you have faith. And anyways, I say this all the time, but I'm extremely proud of you, and I just hope that your kids always see that in you as well, because you've carried a very, very heavy load, and you have done it with grace and beauty. So
thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely do want to still point that back to, and I know you did too, but again, like back to God, because I think about even my oldest son, his wife, and several of them even just saying, and they're such beautiful people, and my boys do honor and love me so well, and just even my oldest son's wife saying, like, thank you for being our rock, which I can only point to God in that, because when I felt like I was so weak, like just trying my best to step by step stumble through all this, and you feel like you're so weak at times, somehow God was my strength, and that showed to my kids somehow, like, so I just want to point, like, again, back to God, and that it is only because of him that I have been able to walk this road. And so, but yes, I thank you for your kind words. And yeah, I think that I have a beautiful family, and I'm so thankful for my family. So, alrighty. So are we done with questions there then? That was the last one, right?
Yeah, that was the last one.
Alrighty. Well, until I'm excited for us to come together again next time, and for Kelli and I just to chat. It's such a fun, sweet time for us, and just I'm loving this because we even get to connect more, I feel like. But I want to send all of you off with so much love, and until next time, yeah, we will talk soon.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking the Silence. As we conclude our time together, let us carry forward the stories we've heard, the emotions we've shared, and the connections we've forged. Remember, the journey through grief and loss is not one we walk alone. In the silence, we find solidarity. In our shared experiences, we find strength. And in our vulnerability, we find resilience. If you or someone you know is navigating the complexities of grief, know that there is support available. Reach out, lean on your community, and remember that healing is not linear. It's a journey, and you are not alone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for being a part of this community. Until next time, may you find peace in the spaces between the silence. please be sure to subscribe below and leave us a review. If you'd like to connect further, you can find me on Instagram at Coaching with Renee.